I don't do this. Here we go.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody have a good holiday. Enjoy some fireworks.
No,
Grill. No,
couldn't see him from my house. I usually can. I couldn't see him this time.
that's
They
it.
they must have set him up in a slightly different location at the college. I
They
think.
did, but also,
If you're living at, you got everybody and their brother doing their own fireworks. Let's see somebody's.
I did see
But-
some fireworks there.
Might even land in your backyard. You never know.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, well, we are halfway through the year now.
Incredible.
Yep.
It's really incredible.
But hey, David snuck in on us.
Hey, yeah. Happy to be here.
Doing good?
Yeah, happy to be here.
Well, it is July. It is hot. Hopefully, everybody has air conditioning because it's not looking like it's going to get cooler anytime soon. All right. Welcome to the. We are still doing our virtual show meetings. We are still working out the kinks of possibly getting live meetings. We need to find a good venue. So, anybody has any suggestions of places that we might be able to have this an internet connection and can accommodate the and parking that we need, easily pass that information along to one of our steering committee members. So, plans for today, we'll do our normal introductions. Kevin is putting together a very nice presentation on one of my actually favorite apps, one of the unsung. I don't hear a lot about it, but I use it constantly. Has some very powerful features that we'll hear about a bit later. And then we'll end the meeting with our general Q&A. If you've got some questions or issues that have been bothering you for the last 30 days or so, we can address some of those. So first, our steering committee. Matt was here. Say hi, Matt. There's Matt.
Hello. Hello.
David Day snuck in for us. Good morning, David. How you doing? Our old friend Terry is still out and about. Hopefully, we'll get back one of these days soon. Marguerite Peters, part of our team here. If she ever decides to quit, we're gonna have to have 5 people take her. Marguerite, say hello, Marguerite.
we'll be happy to do it.
She's like, "Ooh, I can retire. I didn't know that. I thought I had this for life." Ed Sheeran, also on the committee.
Hello, everybody.
Jeanne Sparks. We saw Jeanne earlier. Say hello, Jeanne.
Muted.
We lost her. She'll come back.
No,
I'm Wagner, current president. Could not make it today, but we'll see him next month. So if you have questions, if you have suggestions, if you have compliments, we love the compliments. Please let one of the members also make this meeting you want it to be. Topics you want to hear about, topics you might want to put on, feel free to let us know. We're more than happy to let you present. We're very happy if you just have an idea and want us to present, that's fine as well. We can take care of that. But we'd like to have the content that you want to see so that you get out of this group exactly what you want and need. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce one of our longtime members and very intelligent gentleman who will be telling us about one of my favorite parts. And train's coming. That's how you always know I'm in Canton. The train goes by. Okay, sorry about that. So please pay close attention, pick up some neat details. Kevin Richards on exploring the Apple app reminders and how it can revolutionize your daily. All right, let me actually, I think I need to give action. All right, can you share Kevin?
Yeah, hang on a sec. I'm just Sue Stickle is having an issue getting her camera to work. So
He
let
put
me
on his cape and now he's gonna swim in and help.
um I'm trying to think. I'm not super familiar with her. Can anybody see her signed in?
She's signed in, she's muted, but she's not on camera.
Let me see if I can ask her to do her video, if that helps.
Her
Yeah.
face is grayed out on the video. You can gray out the background. I'm not sure whether you can gray out the main face or not, but she has grayed out her main face and the background is clear.
Well, her video is off, which is so it replaces whatever picture is set. So that's probably what we're seeing. But I Cynthia asked to turn on the video, and that helps at all.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get going in the presentation then, and we'll go from there. So let me share my screen.
I think I may have to stop sharing mine. So let me do that.
Yeah. There we go. It says host has disabled participant screen sharing.
I thought I turned that on. There you go. Sorry about that. That
No
should-
problem. Let's try that again. All right. So we'll go ahead and get into let me get rid of this. There we go. So I noticed that in George's little description on his slide, he said revolutionizing daily life with Apple reminders, and we're just going to simplify today. I'm hoping that a lot of you use reminders. If you don't, I'm going to cover some basic things, and then we'll kind of explore my reminders and take a look at things that I've done and that I find very helpful that may also be helpful for you. So let's go ahead and get into this. First of all, I just wanted to differentiate, when to use reminders versus notes and versus calendar. So with reminders, we're going to use those for managing tasks and deadlines. And when we get into using notes, that's for more when you've got a lot more information, or you've got some longer content, you might want to be using notes for that. And then obviously calendars is going to be for your schedule, for appointments and any kind of events that you want to record. Reminders just being great for keeping track of all your tasks and things that have deadlines. So when we start using reminders, you can create reminders manually if you've got single items that you're recording. For example, if I've got to remember to do something this afternoon and it's just one item, oftentimes it's easy to just go ahead and type that in if you're at your computer. So you can enter those manually. You can use dictation if you have a long list. So if I'm going to the store grocery shopping, and I want to create a shopping list for myself, I can use the dictation to be able to get my whole list down quickly without having to do all the typing. And then we can also use Siri for hands-free convenience. So oftentimes if I'm out and about, something will come to me, I'll need to remember to do it later. but I'm driving perhaps, or, I don't have time to sit there and get in and type something on my phone, I'll just ask Siri to go ahead and record the reminder for me. So we'll get into that a little bit as well. When I talk in the presentation, if I'm going to use the phrase, hey, I don't want to invoke Siri on my devices. So I'm going to just say like, hey, Mary. And that way there, I won't start my Siri going off on my devices. So let's go on here. You can also manage your lists, your grocery list, to-do list. You can rearrange the lists in any order, and you can use subtasks. Tasks within a particular task. You might have, a packing list for, getting ready for your trip. And within that packing list, or the things you need to gather for your trip, you can have a sub list within your list. And I'll give you an example of that so we can take a look at that. Smart lists are just like smart folders. They'll organize your reminders based on some criteria, some filters. You can manage your list by colors or by icons, and I'll demonstrate that as well. And you can organize your lists by date or by priority, depending on your preference, or just have them organized by the way that you put them in there, in the order that you choose. So
Kevin, may I
reminders on iOS and
Kevin?
Mac OS are a little bit different. So
Kevin,
iPads similar to,
Some
Kevin,
of that,
Kevin, could you please tell me where is reminders on the machine?
I'll show you in just a sec.
Okay,
So you see this icon that I've got up in the top corner here. That's the icon you're looking for. And if it's not in your dock on a Mac, or if it's not on your home screen, so if it's not in your dock on the Mac, you're going to need to go to a Finder window and go into Applications, and you should find reminders in there. Once you launch it, you can click on the icon in your dock and ask to keep it in the dock. So either right click on the icon in the dock or click and hold, and then choose keep in dock if you want to keep it in the dock for your Mac. On your iOS device, typically the Reminders app is on your home screen. If you've removed it from your home screen, it just may be in your library. You'll need to swipe all the way, swipe left till you get to the last screen where your app library is, and look for reminders in there. And again, you're looking for this icon. So on iOS, to start the app, you're going to tap on this icon, the reminders icon. Once you've launched it, you're going to go ahead and see this screen on your phone. Let me just move my, I can't do that because I'm in full screen. All right. This is the screen you'll see when you launch iOS. And at the top of the screen, you can see that these are the smart lists that are sort of built into the app that Apple has set up for you. There's a today, scheduled, all, flagged, and completed. If you were to click on one of those, like today, you get another window that pops up, and it'll show you your anything that's due today. In this particular screenshot, I just had one thing in the morning that was set up under the today, and so that appears here. If I click on scheduled, you can see here that it'll group it by days, and you'll start to see your tasks listed and grouped together. And all, if you tap all, it will group, it'll show you a list of all your tasks all your reminders, but it'll group it by list. So if you have just one list, it will just list all your reminders. But if you have multiple lists, then it will group them by those lists. In the bottom section are the lists that you create. You can see a few of mine here. And then if you need to add a new list, you're going to click the bottom left corner. Bottom right corner. This is where you can add a new list. When you click on that, you'll get a new list window. And here you can go ahead and add a name. Say we want to create a grocery list. We can go ahead and change the color of the list. And then we can choose an icon if we'd like, or we can just leave the default icon. If we want to create a new reminder, depending on which, so typically what I do is I tap on a list and then I create my reminder. But if I click on new reminder here to add a new task, then when I'm creating the new reminder, I can choose which list to put it in. And the ellipsis circle in the top right corner, if you need to edit your lists or to view templates, and we'll talk about templates a little bit later, but if you need to edit your list, so in other words, if you need to move your lists around, reorder them, you can do that by clicking on edit lists. You can also pin your lists so that if you want it to appear where those smart lists are at the top, if it's something that you need quicker access to, you can also pin it up top there. On Mac OS, it looks a little bit differently. So here you can see the layout on Mac OS. You're going to have your smart lists on the top left side of the window. Again, the same kind of thing, clicking on today, you view the actual today on the right side. Clicking on scheduled, again, you can see the schedule there grouped by days. And all, again, will group by the order of your lists. Your lists are found down below. You can see here in the grouping of lists that I have here, I've got several lists that just have icons on the side, and then toward the bottom you see auto maintenance and business, and I'll show you those when I get into those. But basically what I've done is I've combined lists together, so it basically creates like a folder, and when you click on that little triangle on the side, it'll open it up. So because we have two vehicles, I created a list for each vehicle under auto maintenance and then group them together. So you can do the same thing to kind of organize things. If you need to add a list on Mac OS, you can click in the bottom left corner. And when you do that, you get a little pop-up window here. One of the things that I noticed that was different, although you can add your name and change the color, when you click on icon, if you want to change the icons, it actually brings up your emojis. So it's different than the icons that are available on iOS. And then if you need to add a new task, you can click on the plus symbol in the top right corner, and then you can go ahead and add a new task. So does anybody have any questions on this before I show you my lists and talk about a little bit more? Okay, so I'm going to try to, let me get out of here. And let's go. All right. Can everybody see my phone screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Kevin,
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
If I put this on my phone, my tasks and all of that, will that automatically go to my computer? So that
It
it
will,
will give
if
me the
you've got-
reminders?
So let's talk about that since you brought that question up. If I tap on my settings app, which is down in the bottom right corner of my screen, if I tap on that and I tap on at the top my name, and I go into my iCloud account, when I go into this apps using iCloud, if I tap show all, you can see all the apps, and you make sure that reminders is turned on. And you'll want to do that on all your devices. That way there, if you create a reminder on your phone, it's going to show up on your Mac. The other way around works the same. And if you have an Apple Watch, then the same thing will hold true. We'll talk about those. So you just want to make sure that you're syncing your reminders on your iCloud account. If you don't have an iCloud account, or you only have a 5 gigabyte, the free space, and you're out of space, then it's not gonna end up syncing for you. Okay, so if we go ahead and tap on my reminders, then again, you can see my lists here. We're going to go ahead and what I find that I use the most is my shopping list. And now there's a couple of different ways that you can do your shopping list. You can have a simple grocery list and list everything that's there. Actually, let's go ahead and let's create a new list before we get into mine. Let's go ahead and add a new list. We're going to call this groceries. Let's go ahead and change the color, and then we'll scroll down and change the icon. So now we've got a new list. I'm going to tap done in the top right corner to save this list. You can see it at the bottom of my lists. If I want to add a new reminder to that, I can tap and choose the list from here if I'm doing a single item. So let's say I want to put in milk. Okay. It gives me a suggested list, but I'm going to go ahead and change my list over here to groceries. Okay. And add that. So now you can see at the bottom, I've got a groceries list started, and it has one item in it, or one task. The easier way for me to do a list is to actually tap on the list. I can see my item. And if I click a new reminder, then it's going to add it right to this list for me. So I can type in eggs. Okay. I can add a little icon if I want from tapping the egg icon on my screen. If the visual helps me, I can hit the return key, and that'll give me another line so I can add another item. So if I'm doing a list that's got a lot of things that I know right off the bat, it's great to go ahead and just use the return key and type away. The other option is to use the dictation key. So down in the bottom right corner, you see the little microphone icon. If I tap that, I can go ahead and start adding lists. And the way that I get adding items to my list, and the way that I get from one item to the next, is just to tell it new line. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. Hopefully this will work on my, I didn't test this out, but we'll try it out. So orange juice, new line, bread. So it's, I'm sorry, let's try another one here. So it jumped down into my, it didn't actually create a new one. I usually just do new line, and that works for me, but let's see if I can do new paragraph. So I'll create a new one or hit return. Bread, new paragraph. No, so that's not working here. Normally I don't have a problem with doing, turn that off. Normally I don't have a problem with doing multiple items by saying new line. So I'm not sure why this isn't working. I don't know if the setup, because I'm sharing my screen, it's affecting it. Typically, I can just say new line, it'll create a new one, a new task. You can also, if you've got a reminder that when you're out and about, you can just use Siri to go ahead and ask Siri to do the reminder for you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. So once you have your list here, let's add couple more items. Okay. If I need to adjust or change an item, you can simply tap the item that you want to change. Let's say I need to change it from orange juice to grapefruit juice. I can go ahead and move my cursor over and just change the word if I'd like. And I can also change things about this particular task, by tapping the eye on the right side. This will give me more details about this particular item. I can add some notes, or I can add a URL if it's appropriate. In this case, it isn't. I could put a date and a time or a location. There are a bunch of things here that I can do. I can change the list down below from grocery to something else. I can also change the priority of this. For a simple grocery list, I don't tend to use any of these other features. So let's click done. If I need to reorganize this list when I'm shopping, I tend to put my items in my list in the order that I come across them in the store. So in this particular list, if I'm at Ingles, first thing I'm going to come to, because I walk counterclockwise around the store, is bananas. So if I simply tap and hold on the item and drag it around, I can reorganize it. So bread would be next. I'd go down. Milk is next, then grapefruit juice, and then eggs. So I've got my grocery list in the order as I walk around the store. So as I'm going around the store, when I pick something up, I simply tap on the little circle to the left of the item, and it marks it as complete. Okay. Now it disappears. If I go ahead and tap the ellipsis circle in the top right corner, I can change this to show completed right down in the middle of the screen, or the middle of this menu. Whoops, hang on a second. Don't want to print it. If I show completed, then it shows the items that I've purchased or have already put in my cart down below. And then I can keep this list going. I pick up the bread, I get the milk, but they don't have grapefruit juice. I do get the eggs. And now I've got my list. I've completed the store, my rounds in the store. What I do is I tend to leave my list in this format so that I can see all my completed things. The reason I do that is because when I come home and it's time for me to go grocery shopping again, I simply go down through the list and say, I look at the items in my list and I go, okay, yes, I need some bananas. So I uncheck it and it goes back into my list. I need milk again. I don't need eggs this week, but I do need some more bread. So then I go to the store and my list is ready. I just need these these top 4 items. Any questions on that?
Hey, Kevin, I just want to make another point on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to talk about the shared list in a minute, but one thing about having the completed showing is that if you do have a shared list, the other person sees not only what needs to be gotten, but also what was gotten.
Right. Yeah, if you're at the store and the other person isn't, so in other words, my shopping list, the list that I call shopping, and I'll show you that next. Actually, let's go over and take a look at that and I'll show you. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this list by tapping the top left corner. And let's go to my shopping list. You can see the shopping list has 25 items. Okay. The way that I do this is I create a list of the stores that I'm going to be shopping at, the different kinds of stores. And then within each one, I have sub tasks underneath them. So if I tap on the little triangle or the little arrow on the right side of the screen, let's say Aldi's, for example, you can see all the items. And because I have the show completed, you can see all the items that I typically buy when I go to Aldi's. Now, I don't always buy them, okay? But I keep them in this particular list so that when I'm at home, before I go to Aldi's, I just look down through this list and say, do I need these things? So when I go to Aldi's, let's say I'm going this afternoon, I need to check and see and get some green beans, and I might need some mangoes today and some zucchini, right? I might need some more peanut butter or some bell peppers. And again, they appear at the top so that when I get to the store, I just look at my items that are listed up above and I go through and say, okay, so actually at the store, mangoes comes before green beans and Aldi's, and then bell peppers is over here after green beans. So I can go down through my list and I can organize it that way and then simply tap when I picked up the item. So if I've grabbed the mangoes, I just tap on it. Green beans, I'll tap on that. If they don't have bell peppers, and I usually leave it on my list for the next week or the next time I go, and I picked up zucchini and I picked up peanut butter. Okay. When I'm done with Aldi's, I can hit the little down arrow on the right side, close that up. And let's say I'm swinging by Food Matters at the same time, I can open that up and then again, go through this list. So in my example, I've used lists, a list of stores, and then I put subtasks or sub items in each one so that I can go ahead and pick up the things that I need. Because this syncs up with my watch, for those of you that do have a watch, I find this incredibly convenient. I can go ahead and have a few items unchecked on my list here, things I need to pick up, let's say at Aldi's. And when I look at my shopping list on my watch, these 4 items will show, but the completed ones don't show. So instead of pulling my phone out to mark off the things that I pick up, I simply look at my watch face as I walk around the store and tap the items as I pick them up. I can mark them as, completed as I pick each one up. So that can be incredibly helpful. I've gotten to the point now where my phone stays in my pocket. I walk into the store, I pull up my list on my watch, I do all my shopping and mark it off as I go. And then I pull up my, rewards card. If I'm at, like, say, Ingles, they scan it on my watch, and then I pay with Apple Pay from my watch. So my phone stays in my pocket the whole time. And I can do everything conveniently from my watch. So that's been a huge help for me. I always found it a challenge to get into my phone all the time. It was more convenient than other things, but it was more of a challenge pulling it out between items in the store. So George was talking about sharing the list, and if you look up on the top of my screen, you can see a circle with a person and a check mark. This is I'm sharing this list with Sierra. So if I tap Manage Shared Lists, you can see here that I'm sharing it. I'm the owner, Sierra is the person I'm sharing it with. Okay, here I have it checked so that she cannot add people. She can't just add a bunch of people to this list. I can also remove her access if I choose. If she's abusing the shopping list, let's say, I can decide that she doesn't need access any longer. So here I've got it checked in the center section that I get notified when she's added reminders. Okay. And if she's completing reminders or I'm completing reminders, she can get notified as well. I don't turn that on. It can get a little annoying, but I do want to know if she's added something to the list. And beneath that, under the share options, I have it set for only people that I invite have access. If I chose anyone can add people, then again, Sierra would have the option to be able to go ahead and add people to the list. Okay. So sharing it, as George said, is very helpful. If Sierra thinks of something that she wants or needs, she can go ahead and add it to the list and it'll just appear so that when I get to the store, I'll know that I have to pick that out for her. Any questions about that? When I'm in a list that is not shared, let's say I want to share my list. If I need to share this list with somebody, if I click the share icon, which is the square with the up arrow in it, if I tap that, this is where I'm able to go ahead and invite people to share my screen. So I could share this list with my mom or anybody else. If they're not in my, my quick list over here, I can just tap messages and then go ahead and add who I want to share this list with. Okay. They would get a message with this, that I'm inviting them to go ahead and collaborate on this list or share this list. Okay. So there's another way to go ahead and do lists. And an example would be the shopping list or the grocery list is, let's go back to our grocery list over here at the bottom of my lists, the new one we created, and let's have everything unchecked. If I tap on the ellipsis circle in the top right corner, I can change this to a template. Okay, so 2/3 of the way down, it says save as template. When I save it as a template, I'll go ahead and save this. Each time that I check these off, okay, I can come back and this list, if it's all completed at this point, when I come back to my grocery list, I'm supposed to get a clean slate here. I don't use templates a lot, but this is supposed to be a way to go ahead and create a list and then just reuse the list and it'll be a blank screen each time. So let me go ahead and turn this off here. If I go back in now, sorry about that. I thought that this would work a little bit differently.
Kevin, I think when you call up a template and you save it as a template, then you use that and rename it to something else so that the template always stays as it is.
Got it. So you're saying if I go in here and I tap the template.
I think what you need to do is add list and choose from template.
Yeah, see, I can't do that on my computer. I can only do it on my phone, but I use it all the time. But now I'm getting confused as to how to tell you what I do.
Go back one screen. Now hit add list.
Yeah.
And then templates.
Choose from template,
I think that'll get you what you're thinking of.
and then you can rename this.
Right.
Okay, so you would want to, so if I need to, so let's say, for example, I guess the better example would be, let's say that I do a lot of traveling and I travel to different places. The items that I pack for the trip might be pretty much the same, or there might be a core group of things that are the same, but and I can create a template for this packing list, but I can change the list each time. So this is going to be a trip to Italy. Okay. And then it creates a new list with these same 5 items in it. Obviously, I'm not taking those things to Italy, but if it's a packing list, then I would have my same 5 items, my core items that I usually pack, and I can go ahead and add, specifics for Italy. The temperature might be different. I might need to pack a couple extra different things. So I guess that would be the example, is to go ahead and, as George said, add a new list, tap on your templates, find the template. So I could, if this were called not groceries, but travel, then each time I could come in here and say, I'm traveling to Greece this time. Okay. And I create a new list. And so there's my packing list for Greece.
Yeah, see, that's how I use that a lot. And
Okay.
that's the way you do it. You create the template, then you rename it for your specific
Got
trip
it.
or whatever.
So for groceries, for me, that really probably wouldn't work because I'm always going to the same stores and I wouldn't want to just keep, I suppose I could create one master, grocery item list and then just save it as a template, then go ahead and each time that I'm going to a different store, create a new list for that particular store. Excuse me, that's a little bit more cumbersome to me for my use. So I like my shopping list where I just have subtasks and I can just take my phone, stand in front of the refrigerator in the pantry and see what I have and mark the things that I need to pick up that I'm running low on. When we're done with the list, let's say I'm done with this, I've traveled to Greece and I'm all done. Okay. If I want to delete the list, I can go ahead and swipe to the left and then go ahead and delete it that way. Okay. I can also, from in here, I can delete the list from my ellipsis circle in the top right corner. I can delete this list. Okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Because you already had your shopping list created. Is there something quirky about creating subtasks, or does it walk you through that?
Let me show you how to do that. Good question. So let's say I've got let me close up Aldi's, and let's say I've got a new store. Okay. So I'm going to create a new reminder in my shopping list. Let's say I start shopping at Food Lion. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Food Lion. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. All right. And tap done. I guess I capitalized them. So for this example, if I wanted to capitalize it so that it stands out more than the others, I could have certainly done that. So, all right.
And I guess my question is, we're seeing you add a list. What if it's your first subtask under the list? Is there something special that you have to do to create that?
There isn't. So for this particular one, I can tap on Food Lion. I can tap okay, and I can tap subtasks down at the bottom.
Okay, there it is. Okay.
If I tap that, I can go ahead and start adding reminders. So if I tap the add reminder, I can tap in milk, right? And then eggs, right? Eggplant, it came out. And, so whatever I want to, tap in there. And then when I'm done, if I just tap the back button, then you can see I have 3 subtasks. If I tap done, now I've got it this way.
Oh, that's,
If you- Right. If I wanted to create another item under Food Lion, right, then I could simply go ahead and tap next to carrots, hit the return key, and go ahead and add another one, and it would go right underneath Food Lion. So it would be a subtask for me. If, let's say, for example, I'm at Aldi's and I'm no longer using, let's do this a little differently. I'm going to go ahead and edit my lists. No, I'll do this way. Sorry. We'll go back into shopping. I'm going to take this Food Lion. I'm going to tap and hold on it. I'm going to drag it up a little closer for this example. If I say I'm not going to buy saltines at Aldi's anymore, here's my Aldi's list. I decide that I'm not going to buy saltines at Aldi's anymore. I can simply tap and drag it and drop it onto Food Lion, and that will now become a subtask for Food Lion. So I can move these around if I want. Okay. And then, close that up. Does that help answer that question about subtasks?
oh, yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
So whenever you can either click on the list and tap the eye and go down to the bottom of subtasks and add more reminders, or what I find easier is simply to go into that particular list, tap any place next to an item like carrots, hit my return key, and now I can start adding subtasks. So items under this list. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions about that? So I don't do Food Lion. Actually, go ahead.
And the subtask go, can you have a subtask on a subtask?
Let's try it. So let me take and put, so let's say I do veggies. And if I add carrots to the veggies, no, it's not letting me do it. So it'll only do one subtask. So, and again, to delete, simply swipe, delete, and then that's gone.
Hey, Kevin,
Yeah,
this is Ken. On your shared task shopping, you share it with Sierra.
yeah.
Can you tell which items she added versus which items you put on the list?
She doesn't add a lot of things, so I can't answer that question. When she's added, let's see if I can go over and grab her phone. Hang on a sec. Okay, so if we go ahead and I log into her phone here and go to reminders.
Reason I ask, because if my wife adds something, I might say, what does she mean by that? And so I could call her or something, but I would.
Right. So if let me go ahead and on her phone, it show completed. So if she adds apples to my shopping list, okay, then
Increased it to 30. It went from 29 to 30.
but it didn't give me a notification.
Right.
So let's go ahead and see if in this particular list, show list info, nope. So if I I'm supposed to get notified when adding reminders, but maybe it's, let's do the completed reminders and let's see whether that makes a difference. Okay. So we're going to go back here to my lists and get back into her phone. All right. So if I go into the shopping list and I add cauliflower to the list, it went up to 31, but if she takes out cauliflower,
Kevin, you may need to be out of the app to get the reminders, the notifications.
let's try that. Okay, so let's see if she adds cherry tomatoes.
Well, then the question becomes, which grocery store does it fall under? It's a subtask. That's intriguing.
So I've got on her phone, I've got Aldi's opened up and she's adding it onto Aldi's.
Okay.
So if she added a new one, let's say in Aldi's, she created a new one and she wants me to pick up, let's say, let's see, something we don't get at Aldi's right now. So I'm going to add. So I just added under Aldi's, I added a papaya. But I don't see a notification show up on my screen here. I do see that papaya has been added, but I'm not seeing the notification. So I'm not sure. To answer your question, Ken, right now that doesn't appear that it's working as it should. And again, I don't know if it's because I'm mirroring my screen or, there's some other thing going on. I don't know. Yeah, do not disturb is on, that's why. So that'll explain it. I turned it off on my laptop, so let's go ahead and go back in here. If I pull down, see my reminders here, she added papaya to shopping. She added, so it's not showing that she added it, which subtask or which task within, it just says within that full list. Did that make sense? So in other words, it didn't say Sierra added papaya to Aldi's in shopping. It just said Sierra added papaya to shopping. Now, if I tap on that, it's going to bring me right there and show me the item. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Highlighted it. So again, Sierra completed cauliflower. So if I tap on that, it brings me right to the list where she added it, right to the, to the store and the, the tasks.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So that's how I use the groceries a lot. And I wanted to show you a couple other things here because there's a lot of other things you can do with it. For example, if I tap on to do, you can see here that I've got a couple of things that have been marked with a date and time. Okay. So I've got give reminders presentation at 10 a.m. I did a test at 10:35 a.m. and I did a check post office box for Falls Creek POA at 1 p.m. today. So when these reminders become due, I'll get a notification on my screen to go ahead and, notify me that, hey, don't forget, you've got to do this particular thing. So I do that frequently. If I want to change, let's say weed garden, if I tap on the I can tap on date, give it a date. I'm going to weed the garden on Tuesday, and I can give it a time if I want. Okay. And a weed at 11 a.m. Let's make it a little earlier. It's too hot at 11. All right. So tap done. And now I've got weed garden 7-11. Whoops. At 9 a.m. And on that day, at that time, I'll get a notification that says that I need to go and weed the garden. So I find that helpful when I've got something coming up in the future that I need to record. I also find it helpful if I'm out and about and let's say somebody calls me, but I don't have time to return their phone call. I pick up the call and I say, hey, look, can I talk to you later on? It's not good time right now. So when I get off the call, I tell Siri to go ahead and remind me to call so-and-so when I get home, or to call so-and-so at 2:30 this afternoon, so that I don't forget, in the course of my busyness of whatever I'm in the middle of doing, I won't forget to give that person a call. So that's really helpful for me. I'm going to go ahead and turn off these things because I don't really need to do those.
I just had an interesting thing happen. One of my sons called me,
Mhm.
and before I picked up the call, I had an option to remind me. So I hit remind, and the call was dropped, and his name and number show up in my reminders.
Yes, and it'll go to your default list. So let's go ahead and just take a look at that. If you want to change which list, if you have multiple lists, my default list on this one is Kevin on my phone. So if I need to change that, we're going to go ahead and go back into settings.
Hey, Kevin,
Yeah,
real quick before we leave the other topic, you had kind of talked about it a little bit. If you have a reminder and you put a location and a time, if you reach the location before the time, you'll get reminded. Otherwise, it'll use the time. You can actually have both on the same reminder.
okay. I didn't realize that. That's good to know. So everybody understood that. If you set a reminder with both location and time, if you get there before the actual time, it'll remind you, or if the time arrives before you've actually arrived at your location, then you'll get a notification. So you've got two sort of filters going on. So let's go ahead and go back into settings. We're going to scroll down to reminders and tap on reminders. And here I can change my default list from Kevin to whichever list I want. So when I'm using Siri to record a list or an item on a list, right now, if I do that, it automatically goes into my Kevin list. Okay, it doesn't go to the to-do or the shopping or anything like that. So you determine which list the default one is going to be. All right. The other kinds of things that I like to do is, let's look at the auto maintenance. So I've taken two lists. One's called Xterra, one's called Mini, and I've dropped them together. I put one on top of the other. So if I wanted to create a list here, whoops. I guess we can do edit lists. I don't know if it'll do it this way. Yeah, so if I drop it on top, it creates a new group. I'm going to cancel that. But that's how you get, that's how I got Xterra and Mini under the same group. And I call the group auto maintenance. Okay. So I've got this auto maintenance with two lists in it, Xterra and Mini. Okay. When I tap on that, you can see here that I've got tire rotation, I've got the oil change, the battery replacement, ending mileage, because I use it for business. I want to remind myself. So here you can see that on 12/31, I get reminded to go ahead and record the ending mileage. Okay. The other ones don't have, these are just done. I've created notes within each one. To rotate the tires at such and such a time. I don't have a way to, when the car reaches, 122,000 miles, to know that I've got to change the tires. If I had an idea, if I were changing the tires based on time or date, that's different. So hang on a second here, I lost my connection. Okay, there we go. The other thing I like to do is things that repeat. So, for example, under my business, I have certain things here. Each year in April, I get a reminder that I have a website hosting package that's due, a payment that's due. So that'll give me a reminder that that's coming up. So if I want to set something that way, I set the date and the time, and then I go ahead and hit repeat, and I can change it to how often it repeats. So that I find very helpful. So that things that come up every year, I just have them repeat for me so that I don't have to keep typing them in each time. When I check it off as being done, then it goes to the completed. Let me show you my completed list here. So you can see that I've completed some things, but anything that I've done, let's see. You can see some of these estimated taxes and sale tax due. These are from in the past. As soon as I check it as being complete, it goes ahead and marks it and sets it for the next year. So I don't think I have anything that's coming up right now. Everything has been, well, I've got a sales tax down over here. So I've got sales tax that's coming up. If I were to actually get that done, I could tap it now and it would change from 7/20/23 to 7/20/24 because I have it set to remind me every year. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
So that's pretty much what I have to show you for now. Does anybody who uses reminders have anything that they do differently or something that we haven't talked about that they think would be interesting?
I've got a couple things, more expansion of what you were talking about. When you're doing Siri, you can put in what list you want to go into. So you talk about the default, you can actually say, add this to this list, and it'll put it right into that list. I don't know about the subtasks, but at least get into the list. Location is probably the most powerful feature, and it is unique to the iOS devices. I haven't seen that on the Android devices. But in addition to physical, places, your home or someone's address, it's using Bluetooth or CarPlay. It knows when you enter the car because it connects to CarPlay or Bluetooth, and when it disconnects, you know you're leaving the car. So you can actually say, when I get in the car, remind me, or when I get out of the car, remind me. Those are very handy because a lot of times you don't know exactly when you're going to get somewhere. So you say, hey, when I get out of the car, I need to check the air in the tire. It sounds like it's low or whatever. But you can use those functions as well. The location, you can, if you set a location, you can actually go in and choose how precise you want to be to that location. Because sometimes if it's two things that are close to each other, it doesn't see that you left the first location when you go to the second location.
So if I tap location here and I tap custom and I say, let's see, because I don't have Bluetooth in my car, that's why I don't use that particular feature. So so that doesn't work for me. But let's say we say, let's say get over to Ingalls. Whoops. Well, let's just pick one of these. When I get to this particular location, okay, remind me. So now within that, I know I've done it before where I've actually,
Yeah, right there at the bottom there,
yeah,
that circle.
yeah, the bot,
I think hit the info next to the location. So
okay.
choose back home.
So tap home, info. I see, got it, down here. So I can change the radius of how much I want, you know, it to notify me if I keep going out before I even get, when I'm first coming into the entrance of the association, it's going to end up triggering the reminder, as opposed to if I narrow it down and it's just getting closer to the house.
It's like if I'm near Ingalls, I want to get this. If I'm in Ingalls, I want to get this. So you can
Right.
actually real precise or real loose.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
I just had a shopping list. And I said, say I had Ingalls, and in the Ingalls, I turned on the location. And so it showed me,
Okay.
it showed me the shopping list. And, but it said when getting in the car, and it had my address. So I said, oh, I don't want that. So I went back and I toggled the location switch off,
Mhm.
and it canceled my whole list.
Oh, boy.
So does that ever happen to you?
No, not at all.
So now all those shopping lists that I had are gone because I did.
Now, can you go ahead when you're in your shopping list? Can you go ahead? So is the whole list gone from your front screen? From your my lists?
Yeah, they're all gone.
I can't imagine how you would have done that.
No,
Unless you tapped, delete the list.
I didn't tap that. It was just
Yeah.
the green switch was on and I toggled off for location.
So do you have it set up like me with subtasks, or do you have just shopping list and or just it named Ingalls?
Yeah, I was trying everything that you were doing on my phone. So
So if I had a list like this and I tap on show list info, well, that's not going to do it for me. Done. So I actually have to have an item within the list that I can tap on. If I tap on location, again, I can't imagine how.
That's just going to be when it notifies you.
yeah, exactly. But it just took I had 4 on there, 4 shopping lists, 4 stores underneath shopping.
Under my list or under shopping?
Under, I guess, my list and shopping. I mean, I go back to my list, there was shopping. All 4 of those were there before. Then I went in and toggled off all those switches because I said, I don't need that.
Okay, so if I toggle this off, right? If I've got my hide completed, now you can see my Ingalls is gone. But if I tap the ellipsis circle up top and hit show completed, you can see my Ingalls. I accidentally hit the mark next to Ingalls. So if I uncheck it, then it'll come back up into my list of stores. Does that help you? So tap on in your shopping list, tap on the ellipsis circle and hit show completed. Mine says hide because I have them showing right now.
All I have is one, it just says new reminder.
There's
Today.
no, when you hit show completed, there's nothing that's shown as done, completed.
No. And then the new reminder also has the location arriving at my address. Blah, blah. So I don't know.
You want to have her try to share her screen?
I
Yeah.
was on my phone, so I don't. I'm doing this on my phone because I don't know how to do it on the screen while we're
Well,
doing this.
if you tap the screen to bring up all the controls, there's a share button with an up arrow. It should be towards the center, but a little bit to the right.
I'm doing all of this on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't.
No. If you tap the screen, all the controls come up with them. On the left, you see the mute and the stop video. You see that?
Yeah.
If you keep moving to the right, you'll see one that says share. It's a box with an arrow
Share.
pointing up.
Yeah.
Okay. Tap share. Kevin, you may need to stop sharing.
Okay, let me hang on a second here. Let me stop mirroring and get back and stop sharing. Okay.
Go ahead and hit that share icon.
I thought I did share. Okay, share screen. And then what? There's desktop one, iPhone, iPad.
But screen, and then just tap screen.
Screen. It just says share.
Okay, then hit share.
Okay.
And let me try it on mine to get the actual steps, because I'm actually doing it on my phone as well. And then there should be a start broadcast.
It says Zoom, but it's
Right.
off.
That Zoom should be checked, and then start broadcast should be at the bottom.
Not. I don't know. It says screen recording at the top. And privacy and security, I have to sign in, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
We'll just forget about it. I'll try it again. We don't need to go through this.
Kevin will be putting the presentation up on the website, so if you go through it again, the steps that he did.
Okay, I'll try it again. Then. Thank you.
Yeah, and you can also call me or email me or whatever. So
We'll also put this recording up so you can kind of watch him go through the whole process again.
All right, great. Thank you.
Kevin, did you have more you want to talk about?
no, I just in the chat, I sent links for user guides for reminders for the iPhone and iPad and for the Mac, 2 different links from Apple's websites that you can go through and kind of go. It's just do, step by step. It'll cover basics. It'll cover all of those different things and show you with screenshots how to do the different things as well. So if I didn't give enough detail, these resources may be helpful as well for you.
And keep in mind with all the apps, especially on the iOS devices, the integration with location, with Siri, with your other devices is very, very strong. So anything you do on one device, if you have it set properly, will be on all your devices. Siri can do so many wonderful things. What I tell people is, if you treat Siri like a 5-year-old and you enunciate properly, pretty much get Siri to do a lot of things. So try something. If you think, hey, I wonder if Siri can, just try it. And your wording is very important. If you want to create a reminder, it's like, hey, Mary, set a reminder when I get home to take out the garbage. And then what I've done there is I've created a reminder, what it is, and when to trigger it, which is when I get home. I do it a lot of times when I leave somebody's, if I have a busy day and somebody says, hey, do you have time to see me? I say, well, I'll give you a call when I leave my appointment. So I say, hey, when I leave John's house, call Mary. And if those people are in my contacts, it knows John's address and knows Mary's phone number.
Yeah, and it goes without saying that obviously Siri needs to be activated on your device and on your, whichever device you have. If you haven't activated it or you're not syncing your reminders, that's not going to work out. So
iCloud is a wonderful thing. If you set it up, a lot of people are kind of afraid of the cloud. You can control what they do. At the very least, synchronize your data, your contacts, calendars, reminders, all those. You don't want to put stuff on the iCloud drive, that's fine. But the synchronization is basically just getting all your devices to share that common information so that it makes it easier for you to get those things done. All right, let's move back to. All right, so now just general Q&A questions. If you have reminder questions, that's fine. If you have other questions, this is the time to let us know.
So I have a comment to make before I forget. If anybody's looking for a used MacBook Air, one of my clients has a 2019 MacBook Air with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage for sale. So if you want to contact me, if you're interested, that's great. I can hook you up with that particular person. I actually have the laptop here. If somebody's interested, I'll clean it and make sure that everything's erased off of it and a new operating system's installed, a fresh copy. I also have an Apple TV, older one. I've got 2 old Apple TVs. One's like 2nd generation and one's like 4th generation. It's the Apple TV HD, I believe, is the most recent one that I have. If anybody is interested, let me know and we can discuss those.
Ken,
George.
what size is the TV?
The Apple TV,
Yeah.
these are just little, the Apple TV box is a small, it's like a Roku, set top box. So those are just so that you can use your Apple TV, the Apple TV interface on your television screen. So that's how I do all my streaming. I actually have Netflix and Prime and all the things that I stream. I've downloaded those apps onto my Apple TV device rather than using them off the TV set. So my TV is a smart TV, but I keep it dumb. I don't connect it to the internet.
Yeah.
The only thing connected to the internet on my setup is my Apple TV, where I'm, more comfortable with the security of Apple TV than I am with Samsung's operating system on the TV. So.
And if you use an HDMI monitor, you don't even need to have a smart TV. Because you don't need the tuner, you don't need the smart aspect to it. You just need the TV itself. So an HDMI monitor plugged to an Apple TV turns it into an excellent media device.
Who knew?
Someone had a question?
George.
Yeah.
So you don't get a swelled head. The title on the presentation slides looks like a foreign language. Presentation.
What's that?
Presentation.
Presentation.
See, and nobody else noticed that. See, you.
I noticed it, but I didn't want
Well,
to.
and I let it
Too
go
nice
to
a
the
guy.
end, George. I let it go to the end.
See, I wanted to see who'd noticed. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
George, you
Not
just
spelled correctly.
you just made another typo, George. Presentation.
Oh,
Dude. Oh.
There you go.
there we go. Yeah, but the computer didn't even let me know it was spelled wrong.
Where's AI when we need it?
Well, I needed an AT.
Evan, I just gotta say, I've been using reminders for a while, but your presentation has led me to maybe use them much more extensively than I do already, and I really appreciate your presentation today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Kevin.
Agree. It was great. It was just great.
And,
I
and
mean,
what,
Any concept makes sense.
Well, knowing how Kevin puts it to use practically is what taught me a lot. The app is easy to use, but integrating it into my daily activities, I
Mhm.
hadn't gone nearly as far as Kevin has, and I will.
and one thing they added to the iOS interface that I was very happy to see was in your repeat option was customized. Because
Mhm.
sometimes
Yeah.
you don't, or monthly, you have like the third Thursday of every month. And now you can do that. Before you had to do that on the computer and it would sync to the iOS devices, but now you can do it within the iOS devices. All right, well, unless somebody has another question, I think we will call it a day.
I
Let me
actually,
ask you one more obscure one. I have discovered, I think, that when I set up a timer on my watch to take pills, for example, and then that screen, if the screen pulls up on the watch face, the time, minutes and seconds or hours or whatever it is, and there's a countdown, then it's fine. But if I close that window or go back to the home screen, it resets the timer. At least that's what it appears to be doing.
It does.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Then I know I'm not crazy.
It's
And,
by- they do that by design.
why?
Because the assumption is that it's a time that you're going to use again. So they leave it there that it's open.
Okay,
I think you have, I'm trying to remember what option you can do to tell it basically not to repeat it, but yeah, you can stop it or it'll repeat.
is there
Yeah.
something in the setup then that I could change?
Yeah, I think there is. I regretfully, I was listening to a podcast about it, but I don't have the watch.
I'll find it. I just want to know if the fidelity is really as bad as I think it is.
Yeah, it's a feature, not a bug.
I have a quick question about my watch. Kevin brought up something about going to his watch and bringing up the store card.
Mhm.
And I have that store card app. In the year I've had this watch, I've never added an app. And I can't figure out how to add the store card app to my watch. It's on my phone. Rather than dig for my phone, I can just take, like say Ingalls, I can just go to my app on my watch and bring it right up.
So
And then-
you'll need to tap on your watch app on your
Settings,
yeah, on your home screen or wherever you keep your watch app on your iPhone. You'll need to tap on the watch there. I believe that's how you add
okay.
there's an installed on Apple Watch.
I don't have it in my Apple apps.
So there's an app on your phone called Apple Watch. It's how you make modifications to your watch.
Okay,
So it's an icon, it's a black square with a watch in the icon as an icon in the black square.
I'm sure it has to be here.
So let me
Kevin, I cannot
I found
find
it.
that.
I found it. It's under fitness, which makes no sense, but that's all right. Okay, I'm on it.
So when you tap on your Apple Watch app,
Mhm.
then if you scroll down toward the bottom, it'll show you which apps are installed on the Apple Watch and which apps are available for the Apple Watch. So
Okay.
look under the apps available
Oh, it's there.
and
Okay.
tap install.
It's working.
Okay.
There you go.
So now you'll be able to get all your cards that you have in Stocard on your watch, and you can pull those up. It's so convenient to have them scan my wrist instead of pull my phone out or pull out, I used to have a key ring with, I don't know, 20 different of those plastic little, you
Yep.
know, cards. And so I no longer have to have that in my pocket.
Perfect.
There you go. Perfect.
Done. Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
Okay.
While I've got everybody, a couple of ideas came up for future presentations. Marguerite and I were talking about spam and, you know, how I have multiple addresses that I, you know, set up. One's sort of for junk. If I'm going to a website, I don't, it's not a, you know, I'm signing up for a newsletter, but I don't want to give them my real email address. So I'll give them like a Gmail account that I just kind of use for junk stuff. But with the, with Apple introducing Hide My Email, that's a much easier way to do it. And if people are interested in me doing a presentation on Hide My Email, I can work on that as well. It's a great way to control spam. Much better than having like an extra Gmail account.
I would like that.
Yeah, I would like that too. I thought there was a way that you could set up fake email addresses through Apple or something. They give you 5 or 10.
Well, you can set up aliases, but the Hide My Email is a much better way to do that. And I'll show you in a presentation how I use Hide My Email, and it makes it much easier to manage sites that you're just. It's a good way also. Let's say the difference between using, let's say, an extra Gmail account is if I share my email address, this extra Gmail address, with a company and they start selling the list of emails, and now I get all these emails from all these different companies that I don't want, my extra Gmail account is still going to get all clogged up. But if I do a Hide My Email, I'm creating a unique email for each newsletter that I sign up for. And if that company that I signed up for shares that list, all of a sudden I can see that they've done that because I'm getting all these emails at that address that don't belong to anybody but this one company that I signed up with. And so I can then deactivate that email address and I won't get stuff any longer from them, and just generate a new email for another company when I sign up for another newsletter. So it's to me, it's a more effective way at managing your spam. So I can certainly do a presentation on Hide My Email. The other one that I was thinking about is the health app on the phone. I don't know if you all use it or not, but the health app is a wonderful device. Everything from keeping your details so that if a paramedic were to come across you, they know how to get into your emergency details and find out exactly what meds you're on, what conditions you have, and all of that stuff. But also the medication reminders has been so helpful for managing my wife's medications, because I just have it set up to do medication reminders. And if we forget, coming up in iOS 17, if you forget to take it, you automatically in a half an hour get reminded again. Whereas right now, once the reminder comes and goes, that's it. But in iOS 17, once the reminder comes, if you haven't marked that you've taken your med, then it'll give you a reminder in a half hour again to take that med. So if people want a presentation on the health app, then I can certainly work on that for the future as well.
Kevin, the health app has been really helpful to me in doing the same thing, managing. But it also is good because the two main medical communities here in this area, of course, are Mission and UNC Part E. And both of those have a wonderful app of their own for all your charts and information. My experience is, unfortunately, doctors are very happy to share it. And so I don't have to carry a bunch of paperwork around. I can just log in and read the notes from the appointments or whatever. And the reason I brought it up, most of this stuff, most of these settings will integrate automatically with
Into
Apple
Compass.
Health. And it's really a valuable resource at this point in my life, at 80 years old.
Not yet. In 3 weeks, you will. I meant to mention that David has a big birthday coming up.
Well, you don't have to, Marguerite.
You said the age.
I
didn't
know
say.
I did. I knew it.
Sounds like a subject for another presentation, Kevin.
I don't think I can remember to do it.
Got a reminder.
That's right.
Well, it sounds like we have presentations for August and September all lined up. Kevin, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. It's really helped me a lot.
George has gone away.
And like I said, if you've got questions, you're welcome to email me. You can email me at kevin.richard@me.com. And then I can always give you my phone contact info.
Anybody else have any other questions?
George has left us.
Well, if that's it for today, everybody have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next month. And I think Kevin's going to be giving us another presentation next month.
Thank you very much. Nice seeing everybody again.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome, everybody.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Leave meeting.